In this video, I will demonstrate how to add an outer border to your granny square Afghan and finish it with a very lovely edging. Welcome back. Our Afghan is now assembled. However, when we measured it, it measures 38 inches by 28 inches. And the intent is to have an Afghan that measures approximately 38 inches by 48 inches. This means that we had allowed for 5 inches of edging on each side of the Afghan. And so it's time to start putting that edging on. The very first row of edging is quite important because, as you can see, there's a little fluctuation as you change from square to square. That gets evened out on this very first row. It also helps reinforce the joins if you do them properly. So, let's get started. We're going to begin our edging on the middle of a side. I picked this place because I want to show you how to get past some of these joins and also make the turn on the corner. So, with that, I'm going to just add my yarn in the same way as I have before. I'm going to work 3 double crochets into the side space. Now we've reached a corner space. But the reality is that those corners as they're joined are now part of the side. So how do we work that? Well, obviously we put a chain 1 in here, and you'll see 3 little openings. You have the corner space of the square you're working on. You have the corner space of the one that you're going to, but you also have this space between the 2 squares that was formed by the join. So we're going to place 1 double crochet into the corner space of the square we're working on. We're going to place 1 double crochet right in the middle of the join between the 2 squares, and we're going to place the 3rd double crochet into the very next corner space of the next square, and we're going to do chain 1 after that. So we've now bridged the gap between this square and this square. It also helps smooth out the edge. As you'll see, we're going to build more than 1 row of borders. I really like, and so I'm going to keep continuing, but I really like to put at least 1 row of the inner border color around the outside of the Afghan. And the reason is, if you look at it, between these 2 squares you have 2 rows of border. And I want to have an evenness. So I want at least 2 rows of the gray, in this case, which is the inner border color, on the outer border. Because I'm going to be doing a pretty wide border of 5 inches, I'm actually going to put 2 more rows of gray on the outside before I start striping. I love stripes because a really wide border in one plain color like gray is just too much. It just saddens the whole Afghan. And scrap happy Afghans are supposed to be scrap happy. Okay, we've just reached the next corner. So let's look at it again. We're going to do a double crochet into the corner space of the block we're working on. We're going to do 1 double crochet between the 2 squares, and we're going to do 1 double crochet in the space at the corner of the next square. Once again, we've bridged that very neatly. Chain 1 and continue along the side. Now we've reached the corner. Now this is a true corner. It's the corner of the square, and it's also the corner of the Afghan. But this is no big deal because we've done a million corners. All we're going to do in this corner is work 3 double crochets to finish off this side, chain 2 to make a corner space, and then 3 double crochets, oops, 3 double crochets to start the next side of the Afghan. Now, we're going to work a little bit more because I'd like to lay it out and just show you the difference. Let's look at it now. This is where we joined, and then we followed along the edge. Now see how smooth that is becoming? A few more rows of border edging and that will be as straight as can be. And then we made our corner, just like we do any other corner that we did on in all these squares. It's the same corner. And so I'm going to continue to work around this edging and meet you back over here. First row of edging, meet you back over here. And so I'm just coming up to the join. So we're going to do that last. Crossing of the joined squares. And now I did my chain 1, and now I'm going to slip stitch into the top of the chain up. Getting there. So that completes that round. Now, what we're going to do is 2 things. First off, I am going to pull up this loop a little bit, and I'm going to weave this end in now before I proceed to the second round of gray. The reason I want to do that, I just want to make sure I don't catch my feeding thread because I want to be able to pull it through. But the reason I want to do that is so that this goes away. Just give it a little more strength there. So this yarn end just disappears in the crocheting, and it's much easier to bury it before you crochet over it. If once you put the crochet on, it's very difficult to weave in ends and make them look really nice. Okay, so I've now woven that in. I can cut that off or I can leave it there for now, but I'm going to just trim it. Okay, I'm going to pick up my loop. I made sure I didn't catch it. Now, all the other times that we changed a row, we also changed a color. So this is the first time on this Afghan that we are actually going 2 rows of the same color in a row. So how you do that, at least how I like to do it, is I have my loop on my needle and then insert the hook, pull up the loop, and then I have 2 loops on my hook, and then I just finish it off. 1, 2, because that represents the bottom of the double crochet. Now, that is basically a single crochet with 2 chains. I need a 3rd chain because I need the chain between the sets, because that one is going to belong to this set when I finish. I'm going to be finishing with 2 double crochets, and then I'll slip stitch to the 3rd chain up. The space chain needs to be over this block in order to give it enough space. So now I'm going to move on, and I'm going to do 3 double crochets. Chain 1, 3 double crochets in the next space, and I'm going to continue all the way around the Afghan yet again. Now, when you get to where the blocks join, that just is another 3 double crochet block. So you just go into this one and into this one. So this round you don't have to do anything except work 3 double crochets in each side space with a chain in between. When you get to the corner, it's worked the same way as before. 3 double crochets, chain 2, 3 double crochets. I'll see you when we get around to the other side. We go to the original chain up, and the first 3 chains of this represent the double crochet, so we need to make 2 more double crochets in this space, and then slip stitch into the 3rd chain. Now remember, there's a 4th chain which represents over the space. There we go. Weave the end in, and we're ready to go to the next part. We're ready for the final row. Well, I kind of got excited and got on a crocheting roll. So I've already done some of the edging of the last row. So I just wanted to show you what it looks like. This is a Picot, but it truly is not a true Picot stitch. It's a modified Picot stitch, and I'm going to show you how to do that. And the reason I chose a modified for this particular Afghan is this yarn is a little bit on the soft side. Usually Red Heart yarns are a little stiffer, and so you can just use a regular Picot. But the regular Picot did not stand up on the edge, and I wanted it to stand out because I like it to keeps the edge nice and flat and finished looking. If you look over here, this is what it would look like if I just added another row. And this just makes it look so much more professional. Okay, by the way, I use a little stitch holder to stop especially when I have the yarn still attached to a long stream, I just put a little stitch holder in to keep my place. So I'm going to pick up my yarn. We're going to proceed on and do 3 double crochets in the next space. We're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3. We're going to roll it over to expose the little humps. Now you can't, or you don't want to put one in the first one. You want to put it in the second chain from the hook, the back loop, and the second chain from the hook. Now you can do your slip stitch that way in 2 efforts, but I prefer, if you're going to do it, you're going to insert your hook, and I grab down here so that I can make it 1 effort. If you practice that slip stitch like that, you'll end up being more efficient in your crocheting. It takes a little bit of skill to do it, but I'm going to do 3 more. You can do it either way though. It has the same effect. 2, 3. Let's do it another time. Chain 1, 2, 3. Roll it over. Now notice how I'm grabbing. So I have 2, and I'm pulling through the 2. That makes a slip stitch. Insert into the next one. Slip stitch. Okay, now we've reached the corner. And I want to show you in particular how to do the corner because it's a little bit different. You're going to work 3 double crochets. 1, 2, 3. You're going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. Roll it over. going to slip stitch in the second chain from the hook and in the third chain through the back loops only. Now, we have that nice little modified picot. We're going to chain 3 more. 1, 2, 3. Roll it over. Slip stitch in the second and the third from the hook, chain from the hook in the back loop. And then we're going to finish the corner with 3 double crochets. 1, 2, 3. So it makes a nice little corner. Now I'm going to continue on this side. And then we can slip stitch to the top of the 3 chain up at the beginning of the round. So now we've finished it off. We're going to cut our thread and pull it through. Now, isn't it nice and neat? But you don't want to weave your last end in on the outer edge. Okay? You don't want to do that. You actually want to weave your end through these stitches into this level and then weave the end in right along in here. So, I thought you'd enjoy seeing the whole Afghan assembled. Notice how the yellow border frames the internal granny squares. I also like that border because it makes it a very solid finish. You can add multiple colors to the border if you wanted to make it larger. This Afghan ended up being 36.5 by 47 inches. And I think it's a perfect size for a child or about a 5 or 6 year old to drag around the house. It's a perfect size to lay over the back of the couch too. So I hope you enjoyed our project and happy crocheting. If you liked our video, please click the subscribe button and visit us at twistedyarns.com. Bye!